Consultancy. He served as the head of department in civil engineering, joint director in technical education, Department of History and Technical Education, Government of India. He has developed and authored the unique document of quality learning system that has been used for 20 years across 1,000 institutions in the state of Maharashtra. He has developed and authored the unique document of quality learning system. And he has authored 4 books and contributed chapters in 2 books. He has 126 research papers in his credit and travel across Asian and European countries as a part of it. He has also worked as a member of Task Group Department of Science and Technology. Then Jharkhand currently is working in different committees and statutory bodies of Government of India and Maharashtra, such as member of CSR Committee on Teachers Education, Government of Maharashtra Governing Council, MSME Tools Room, IGTR, GOI Evaluation Committee, YCMO Nasik, Board of Studies in University and Autonomous Institution, Board of Studies in PGDBM Pharma Business of Dhanvantra College of Business Management. And also he has worked in all type of institutions in universities, conventional colleges, medical colleges, dental colleges, engineering colleges, pharmacy colleges, and management institutes for different quality management projects inclusive of outcome-based education. Presently working on over 40 plus various prestigious projects in the country through self-enterprise, First Foundation, and Center for Development of Leadership in Education. His domain of work includes strategic planning, policy design, project development, curriculum development, outcome-based education, instructional system design, institution design and education design, quality, system development, assessment and accreditation, auditing and mentoring, faculty development program, career planning and guidance and counseling, student development program, and allied projects. So indeed, it is really an honor and pleasure for all of us to have Dr. Ajit Thete sir here to deliver a talk. So I welcome him on behalf of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, UGC Malviya Mission Teachers Training Program. And now I would hand over the session to him. Sir, kindly unmute, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, one and all. So thank you so much, Dr. Rafi sir, and all my fellow delegates who have joined for this Malviya Mission Training Program.
Sir, just to interrupt, if you want to ask the question, you can tell the participant to raise the hand and you can unmute them, sir.
Okay, fine.
Because giving permission to the participant will disturb the class, sir. Huh?
Yeah, fine.
And I am having some other meeting, so I will leave this meeting, sir. Huh?
No,
Same time I have. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll follow the instruction given by Dr. Rafi sir. Once again, welcome to one and all to this training program. It's more of a discussion on the aspect of academic leadership, and that academic leadership and different roles of teachers as a professor or as a head of department or the institution heading. So I'll just share my presentation to you, and with that presentation, we will start our discussion. Yeah. So this new era which has come into the picture in the recent times is on the educational leadership or academic leadership as such. When we talk of organizing or managing the education across the world, and when we talk of any state or any system of education, any university system or institution system, or for that matter, when even we talk about an individual course or department, the academic leadership becomes very important. When we talk on academic leadership, the different aspects of that are very important to comprehend and implement in true sense. Of course, this one session is not sufficient to deliberate on this very important topic, but we will have some reference point for discussions. We'll follow certain the standards which are given to us, and according to that, we will move to our session. So friends, when we talk of a leadership, a leader is one who inspires motivates, and leads people to accomplish organizational goals. So we as a teacher, or when we working on a different capacities in the institution, or even sometime at university level, in terms of the member of board of management or board of studies, academic council. So in any capacity, when we work at institute level, or you one at university level, or even at the department level, we need to understand that we are being there to lead the people, and especially students and our faculty. And our job as a leader is to motivate them, to inspire them. And that is how the leadership becomes very important. Will come down to the in the context of academic leadership as such, but this is the basic role and rule of the leaders as such. And as I said you earlier, the leadership is all about influencing a group of people. You working in the department, you working in the institution, or even you are working in a class. Our entire job is to achieve the goals of education, especially when students are coming for higher education. They are primarily expecting that they should get some employment. There is an overall development in their personality, and many more objectives are there. But so is we providing a leadership, or when we talk in terms of the context of the academic leadership, we need to understand that we need to influence this group of people. It is just not delivering our duties or delivering a talk in a lecture, but how do you motivate, how do you inspire students, how do you influence them to reach to their goal, their mission and vision. Sometimes we need to work at such a macro level. We need to create a vision in the students, their future career, their future life. It equally is applicable to the institution. If really we have to attain the objectives of higher education or education that matter, we need to envision ourselves and make and influence people to reach to that goal. And that's why the topic which is given to us in today's session in academic leadership is very important to all of us. And I'm sure you will ask me a question whenever you have any doubt or you want certain clarification. And is when we talk of the leadership, we need to manage personal people at work. There's a manpower, which is staff and employees. All this management is important. And when we see management, is not only just a part of a what we call as a managerial aspect, but we'll have to think about the academic perspective, financial perspective. Of course, this academic or personal, administrative or financial perspective and academic perspective are applicable to different domains, different type of the people in a different way. But ultimately, it's very important that you have to manage the human resources in this organization. And that is where we'll have to work as an academic leader. And that's why what I did today is, while discussing on this very important topic of the academic leadership, I have put my scope of discussion into 3 points. What are the leadership styles? It means that, yes, there are a number of leadership styles, but of course, we are going to talk about 3 which are broadly discussed across the organization, and how these leadership styles are essential and how we can utilize them in different situations in our organization. So that is how we are going to discuss about leadership styles. To become an effective leaders, what type of traits are required to be unsuccessful? And as I said you sometime before, we are working in an organization where students are there. We have an employee, and not only that, if we are an institution, we have to get connected with the external world, to the community, to the society, to the business and organization, and even to our near close environment like university, parents. So when we do all this, what type of the effective leadership traits are essential when you are performing a leadership role at our organization? And obviously, we are going to talk about what are the role of teachers at the end. Of course, though there is not a separate slide on that, but every time we talk about the leadership, it is for the teacher, because the earlier we used to name as a leader as there's one leader in an organization, but that concept is gone now. Here, if you really want to attain the objectives of organization, goals of organization, then everybody, everyone in the organization have to act as a leader. That's very important. So then and then only we can take and reach to our organizational goal as such. So I have limited my discussion for today's session into these three major areas, which I'll be discussing across the slides during this presentation. Now, obviously, when we talk on this topic, our outcome expected as how we can develop the capabilities for academic leadership. It's very essential that how we'll develop these capabilities. Then how we demonstrate this leadership in curriculum design. Equally, apart from education management, we also require to work on the curriculum design and development, in assessment and evaluation, in research, and to foster this research for effective pedagogy. So leadership talks about, when you talk in the educational context, when we talk about academic leadership or educational leadership, is not only a leadership alone, but we talk in context to the educational aspect. And what are those capabilities which are required to demonstrate when you working as a leader in an organization? So these three aspects which we are going to discuss in our today's session. Now, this academic leadership, or sometimes we refer to an education leadership, in the curriculum and research cycle, this is a continuous cycle. We go for academic leadership. Now, academic leadership is a broader term, and when we don't talk of the academic leadership, equally it requires another domain of curriculum development, because curriculum through which we develop our students, we develop their core domain knowledge, we develop their allied knowledge, we develop their personality, we develop their employability and other competencies which are required to work in the world of work. So as an academic leadership, how we as a teacher should work and should demonstrate the leadership in the area of curriculum design and development is equally important to all of us. And nevertheless, to be a leader in the aspect or in the context of academics, research is very important. We doing continuous research. Research does not mean that limiting ourselves to about a PhD, but it should be a continuous evolving new knowledge, creation of new knowledge in our domain, simultaneously on the pedagogy, on the students' behavior, and around the practices which are happening in the world of work. So in personal domain, in social domain, and professional domain, we need to conduct a research. It may be an individual research, it may be a team research, and there how we can provide the academic leadership to the institution, to the organization, to the entire world where everyone is looking for education. And that's why that we call as teaching is a noble profession. Why teaching is a noble profession? And when we talk about the world is going and a different context, developing in different dimensions, having different challenges and issues, but still there is one which is an academic which can provide a good leadership to all these issues and can resolve all these issues. So, my dear professors, we need to understand that we need to develop this leadership of academic in nature, education in nature, to deliver best as per the goals of education. Now, when we talk about this part of that, then what are the different dimensions? We call it the hub and spoke model. The hub and spoke model, which I said you sometime before, When we develop an academic leadership, obviously, as I said you, curriculum and disciplinary knowledge, not only curriculum, our discipline knowledge is very important. And when we talk about a discipline knowledge, suppose I'm a man from, say, economics, or I'm from the history, or I'm from geography, or I'm from the botany or zoology, or any matter for that. My discipline knowledge must be upgraded time to time, which will meet the today's requirement or tomorrow's requirement. And that's why our curriculum and our discipline knowledge, that leadership is very important. That is one spoke of our leadership aspect. Then we, as a educational leader, academic leaders, a knowledge of educational psychology is very important. Ultimately, we are dealing with a people. Of course, any leader, when we talk about another type of leaders which are working in the industry, in the business, in the politics, in society, all are leaders. They also require a knowledge of social psychology. But when we talk in context to the education, we must have a knowledge of educational psychology. And when we deal with educational psychology, obviously it comes to a micro aspect of study of students' mind and their behavior. How do they will learn? Why they are not learning? How they can get inspired? How they can get motivated? How we can identify their learning difficulties. So to demonstrate a leadership as a teacher, the we equally required a leadership and abilities and capabilities of the educational psychology. Third aspect, third spoke, which is important, in which we need to develop a educational technology. Educational technology does not limit ourselves to a Google Classroom or any Zoom or any platform as such. Even it is not limited to PowerPoint presentation, but how we are using technology so that that audio visual effect will bring significant change in students' learning. So today, when we work in the educational technology doesn't only talk about the PowerPoint presentation or YouTube, etc., etc. But how do you design your instruction? How do you plan your instruction? We know that, and I'm very sure that my faculty members must have joined from the different areas, zones of our country. Some are from the rural area, some are maybe from the remote area, semi-urban area, urban area, metro areas. So every year we need to we cannot go with a single model, single solution. We need to adopt the educational technology, the instruction system design technology in such a fashion that the students, and based upon their environment, based upon their prerequisite knowledge and the exposure to which they are being given, we need to plan to our teaching and learning processes. So leadership is required into that. Next important spoke of our leadership is assessment and evaluation. And I think we equally need to demonstrate our leadership in this area. In the national education policy, what is envisaged is that the day will come when there won't be an end examination. As we conduct semester end examination, we need continuous evaluation of the student. And when we go for a continuous evaluation, obviously it must be based upon what abilities we want to assess, what competencies we want to assess. And to assess those competencies, what type of learning experience or what type of the episode that we need to create, what type of the case study we need to create, so that when student goes through that experience, he learns. And if he's not learning, if he's not learning, he'll come to know that where he's getting in difficulty in learning as such. And that's why we need to now, my dear friends, have to develop what is known as a leadership in assessment and evaluation. There are different models which are coming. In the recent past, you must have heard about many universities have started conducting internal and external examination. One of the example I'll be happy to share with you. I'm right now with JSPM University Pune in the state of Maharashtra. There to assess continuously the practice that we are following, that today I have conducted a lecture, a session. Suppose my next lecture is tomorrow or day after tomorrow or after 3 days. On that day, I will conduct first a quiz for 10 minutes based upon my previous lecture, so that a teacher and student, they both of them understand the learning performance and there is enough scope to take the remedial measures. This is the one aspect. Second, examination should not become just a point of fear to students. So easygoing. Again, I'm giving an example of GSP University Pune. What we started here, that we conduct end-term examination. Results are declared within 8 days. When the results are declared, answer books are shown to the student. They are discussed with the student. So it is not that teacher is sitting somewhere, student is somewhere, and marks are declared and result is declared. No, students are there in present of student, teacher shows the assessed answer book and remedial measures are given, and immediately after 2 weeks, second term and examination is conducted, so that student goes on improving the performance. There is one terminology which is coming and which many of them are now going to follow, is ODE, on demand examination. In turn, when we talk of academic leadership or an educational leadership, we need to demonstrate the capabilities in the area of assessment and evaluation. Then comes the educational management. Educational management, it doesn't mean only related to the classroom management. Yes, it is classroom management. But then when we are using, say for example, you are using a outcome based education curriculum, then how do you organize your learning experiences so that the outcomes of the course, that is subject, and outcome of your undergraduate and postgraduate program, what we know as program outcomes, are required? And how do you organize these learning experiences? How do you manage? How do you ensure the resources is a very important. So educational management, on one terminology, is on the outcome-based education at course level and program level. Little bit going beyond that, going for a strategic planning. Now, with the emergence of national education policy, many of you must have attended so many webinars and seminars. You must have realized by this time the type of leadership, the type of capabilities required to address the NEP requirement, policy initiatives. We also required to develop an ability of strategic planning, a very systematic, structured way of planning, which is there. Of course, I'm going to deal this with in the second session as such. Then comes research. Research is, of course, in any case, we have to go with the research as such in making and delivering. So research is become now an evidence, and that's why as you have gone through the NEP, this is the first week, last day, I think. So by this time, you must have been given exposure to the research requirement, which is been described in the National Educational Policy. So in the research, multidisciplinary research, qualitative research, see, our dimensions are changing now. Our dimensions of research, earlier, we research leading to the PhD or certain publication was there, but no, nowadays we talk of research which is multidisciplinary, number one dimension. Second, if it is a science and technology, does it has got a patenting, some innovations into that? or copyright for other programs such as. And even it is a commerce, art or science or technology, there is a chance of going for an incubator called a startup, some a business. So research is not limited only for a publication or award of PhD, but we have to think beyond that so that the learner becomes self-reliant. And in that areas, we require to understand this hub and spoke model of education leadership. This talks about the dimensions of the leadership which are essential to all of us. So leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. Okay. So we need to understand that to demonstrate leadership, learning is indispensable. So this is what John Kennedy says, and on that way we need to understand and we need to deliver as such. Now coming to the understanding the some meaning of leadership as such. When we talk about, of course, few aspect, I'm going from whole to part and part to whole, because I know that you all are professors. I'm not going to only discuss about just a theoretical, what are the different leadership styles as such, what traits are required. But while discussing these different challenges, this different roles and different type of the aspects of education, we are going to understand these all roles. So see, when we talk about developing leadership in education, how these capabilities are essential. Listen to this or read through this particular slide. Leadership on your left side, leadership is any activities tied to the core work of the organization that are designed by organizational members to influence the motivation, knowledge, affect, or practices of other organizational members. This is what we call the leadership. So these are the activities which are linked with the core of the organization, which helps to influence, make affect the other people in the organization, motivate them, involve them in the process. When we talk about educational leadership, in the same line, it is the process of enlisting and guiding the talents and energies of teachers, pupils, and parents towards achieving common educational aims. See, my dear professor, I am submitting before you both the definition or concept of leadership. Here in the second definition of education leadership, and if you see the first definition of leadership, it is one and the same. In the second definition of education leadership, it is very much clearly it is said that it is the process of enlisting and guiding the talents and energies of teachers, pupils, parents towards achieving the common educational aims. And I think that is the scope of academic leadership, which we need to follow in our terminology as such. And hence, when we immerse this, when we talk about this, what is really required to do, how we can go around this? Obviously, one try to do that, how this leadership can be emerged. How we can go around this? It's very easy to say. And everybody must be talking till today to you during different session that, yes, we need something different. We require different capabilities. In nutshell, our leadership need to change. Our leadership style need to change. But how it will emerge? To me and you, is very important. Then we follow a certain process. Demands were made on higher education institution for higher level of people achievement, and higher education's institution are expected to improve and reforms. It's very important. So how they have emerged, how this leadership has emerged in it. Expectations were accompanied by calls for accountability at the higher education level. Earlier, we were affiliated, and you know very well, in times to come, by 2032, we are going to be an autonomous institution, a multidisciplinary institution, or a private institution, a cluster university, or whatever model, but we will be an autonomous institution. When we become autonomous, we become more and more accountable for that. The administration and management is the exercise of control and supervision. We need to understand, my dear professor, we need to understand, no doubt. I also used to teach, I have taught almost for 12 to 13 years, 14 years I have taught in the, of course, I'm talking about a regular teaching in a classroom. Then my role had changed, and as you must have listened during my introduction, then I went to the administration. But if at all I'm in administration, I am in day-to-day connect with the students, to the faculty. I'm teaching to the teachers and faculty. Why I'm talking you all these things? Because the administration and management is the exercise of control and supervision. The days has gone where you and me as a teacher, our job was only to deliver a curriculum in a class. No, because of the demands on the people achievement, as we see in the very first point, we need to have a proper control on the system. We require proper supervision on the control, on the entire process as such. And that's why this is how the academic leadership will increase. It's really, as I repeatedly I may say, and as I told you in the very beginning, our teaching profession is a noble profession. It's not today. Since long it is known as a noble profession. And if it is such a type of a profession, sorry, where we need to develop a fullest potential of the students, holistic development of the student, to make them, prepare them for their life and career, proper control and supervision is required. Obviously, in the second section, we are going to talk about the management and governance practices as such, but this is how we'll have to work on to this process as a whole. Then coming to the concept of leadership, which will be now favored because it conveys dynamism and proactivity. We required dynamism. I do remember of course, I started teaching in 1984. If I see the teaching of 1984 and today how the type of classroom management teaching is going on, of course, we required a dynamic teaching profession. We required a proactivity into this. So concept of leadership is favored because of it conveys the dynamic nature of a person and the proactive nature, because you'll have to envision, you have to visualize what is going to happen into our students in the future as such. And in doing so, when these activities are happening around us, we'll have to talk of how we will go and will mark to this. So then, why this education leadership is required? Why it is required? Very importantly, generate results and achieve your organization vision. Okay, so obviously we required earlier, as I told you sometime before that, earlier job was to just going in a class and delivering. Yes. Please mute yourself. Someone is unmuting. Please mute. Then foster productivity by designing work practices, routines, systems, and structure. Why? Because as I told you, When you move, suppose it is a arts undergraduate or postgraduate, commerce or science, within the curriculum, the region, the area in which, whether it's a remote, rural, whether it's a urban, semi-urban or metro, within that, what are the learning styles of the students? What type of the learning pedagogy will be different? And that's why leadership is required. Why academic leadership is required? Because it is just not the classroom activity is no more important. Very important is how you are providing experiential learning based upon students' learning abilities. And that's why we require the educational leadership as such, academic leadership as such, where we have to design work practices, our routines, our systems and structure. As I told you, my second lecture and first lecture is connect to each another. I'm going to make a reference to that. Here, I'm just limiting myself to the leadership aspect, academic leadership, education leadership as well. Engage people from across culture, background, and languages through an effective communications. We need to see that disadvantaged group, cross-cultural enhancement, understanding the background of the students. Okay, as I told you, sometimes students are coming from the rural area, they are not having enough exposure. No, we need to bring them in the process of education. We need to plan, we require a leadership, we need to have planning at not only at course or subject level, but at departmental level, at institute level, sometimes at university level. Why leadership is required? And that's sort of the leadership where, since students are coming with different cultural backgrounds, with different languages, no doubt now University Grant Commission and many councils have started imparting education in different languages, even your mother tongue. But even then, we require to provide, demonstrate leadership into that. Cultivate empowerment, resiliency, integrity, and growth to their personal development and development of others. Education is not a degree, it's not a paper. But are we cultivating empowerment? Are we giving potential a personal development? Are we developing the values, integrity among the students? If to happen so, the type of leadership which we provide is under discussed under academic leadership. Here we require academic leadership, at is as it happening in the business organization, to meet their targets, to meet their profits. They plan their business, they plan their organizations. In a similar fashion, as students, we need to empower them, we develop them values, and they go for a personal development, and for that we require the educational leadership as such. And obviously, we require skills, knowledge, and position you need to make for a transformative impact, not only theoretical understanding. Whatever learning we are happening, students are doing, that learning must be a transformative way. They must be able to apply in a real life situation. And that's why the type of leadership which is required in today's world goes beyond just a classroom lecture or a discussion. We need to go for a field studies, case studies, group discussions. We require to demonstrate them, field work, internship, experiential learning, and so and whatnot. So we this is how we required the overall aspect of that. And hence, to be a good educational leader or academic leader, I will definitely would like to talk to you. Of course, this is not new to you all, but one concept, only one concept, which is on the education aspect. There are many concepts of education, but when I have to just put for our agenda of discussion, Education is meant to bring out the best in man, to develop his potential to the maximum, to integrate him with himself, his surroundings, his society, his country, and humanity, to make him the complete man, the integral man. See, Aurobindo has given the concept of education, and I think this concept of education is enough to us, and that will tell us what is the role of institution, what are the role of department, what are the role of principal, teachers, and then that context, so that he become a complete man. What type of leadership is required? Guiding them, mentoring them, providing leadership, giving them creation of new knowledge, making a good effective communication, transparency, mutual faith, innovations, creativity. These all we need to do, because ultimately our occupation of business of the education is to make a complete man. And this complete man is possible, my dear professor, when we will be able to demonstrate and implement the academic leadership in the institution. We talk of any lack of regional development or industrial development or agricultural development or development in different sectors. There we obviously we blame or we criticize the leader in the respective field. Similarly, when we talk on the concept of in the context of education, we to demonstrate education leadership in such a way that here this why I have put this particular concept before you, it gives you a lot of inputs into why this educational leadership and what is educational leadership. Why is okay, but what is leadership and how we can do that? There's no one solution. As I told you, one type of educational style, a leadership style, is not going to be useful. We have to go for a multiple educational leadership style, academic leadership style, which we are going to talk about. But at the end of the day, a very greater responsibility across the world is on education, is to demonstrate the academic leadership so that they become a complete man. And if you must be referring and you must be discussing across this program on the National Education Policy 2020, which has given us a vision for creating a vibrant knowledge society. We want vibrant knowledge society. We want self-reliant people. We want to addict off. We want to go out of the poorness. We have to address sustainable development goal 4, and all this possible when we go for that. And hence, we being in a higher education, we must know the objectives of higher education. These are the 4 objectives of higher education, which are being mutually agreed upon globally in the Bologna process. I will not go to the history of that, but I will only say that India is the part of globalization. And when we become a part of globalization, certain agreement made internationally are applicable to us. And hence, while deciding or defining the objectives of higher education in Indian context, these 4 are very important. And we must know these objectives of higher education so that we can demonstrate the leadership. Why academic leadership is required? Preparing for employment. This is the objective of higher education. Here, academic leadership is required, not only in training, in motivating, in inspiring, in giving them variety of exposures, planning their career and life, mentoring them, guiding them, because you have to prepare them for employment. And the student who is coming to me today Obviously, in Indian context today, we have to think over, yes, one want job here. They are looking for job. Parents are poor, they are looking, though every parent is not poor, but we know that majority of the populations come in the poor and average group. We call it the middle class society. They have certain dreams. Employment is one vehicle through which they can reach to their mission, their vision, and it's our job. So, how do you prepare our student for employment? What type of activities are required? What type of training is required? What type of the treatment is required to one student, a group of students, and multiple of students, including all genders? Here we require a academic leadership. Preparing for life as an active citizen in a democratic society. He must be an active citizen in a democratic society. I am not limited to myself, me, my family, my society, my community, my nation, my organization, and Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Entire globe is mine. So we have to, because see, my vision, my mission, my life goal will be achieved only when I'm trained in that fashion. And this is one of the objective of higher education, is preparing for life as an active citizen in a democratic country, society. Again, not a degree certificate, not only delivery of curricular activity, but how do you really make student a active citizen? Personal development. I was invited a year before on one session, how to inspire and motivate students. I was very happy when I was invited for this session, because it is our duty, it's an institute duty to make students understand that how the personal development is essential for achieving the life goal, life mission, and vision. Let me tell you, my dear friend, you may agree with me that many times students, they really don't know what is their vision, what are their life goals. It's not their problem. We, society, are not successful, or we have not made an attempt to make student understand and develop their personality so that everyone can become to reach to their goal. It doesn't mean that he is becoming rich, or doesn't mean that he go abroad for a job. It doesn't mean that everybody become a billionaire in our country. But yes, he or she must understand what is his mission, what is his life, what is his goals, what he really want to do, how he is developing a overall development of the personality, a complete man. Sri Aurobindo said about that, and that is the purpose of our higher education. And there we require a academic leadership. We need to understand why I'm showing this slide to you, that we need to assess our institution deliverables in context to these objectives. Are we achieving these objectives? What are our plan to attain these objectives? How we can plan across 3 years or 4 year or 2 year of programs? And the last objective is the development of and maintenance of broad and advanced knowledge base. What we in nutshell talk about lifelong learner. Let my student complete graduation, go back to rural area, do their farming, no issue. Let them do their family business, no issue. But have you developed a ability or attitude of lifelong learning, so that he is developing and maintaining a broad and advanced knowledge base? And I think this slide is very important to all of us, and we need a systematic. Why academic leadership is required? And here you will understand in this context, we need to see how students, parents, and teachers together, of course, with other stakeholders, make them to attain these objectives of the higher education. And that is how, when we say about the vision for education, which is stated in the National Education Policy 2020, values and dispositions that support responsible commitment to the human rights, sustainable development and living, and global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. These are the words which I have taken from our National Education Policy 2020. This is the vision of education of our National Education Policy. And this will not possible to you and me if I go with a conventional way of teaching. Here we need to do something else. The something else is a part of teaching learning process only, but they require academic leadership so that we develop a capability of planning, organizing, managing, and controlling these different activities so that values and disposition that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living, and global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen, is possible. So in this context, we have to work on to that. And we talk about a sustainable development goal 4. Education is a force multiplier which enables self-reliance, boosts economic growth by enhancing skills, and improve people's lives by opening up opportunities for better livelihood. See, my dear professor, sometime before I said that teaching profession is a noble profession. When we talk about 11 sustainable development goals defined by the UNESCO, the sustainable development goal 4 talks about education. And it is said, education is a force multiplier which enables self-reliance, boosts economic growth by enhancing skills, and improve people's life by opening up opportunities for better livelihoods. We know, if you see the figures of employment, if you refer to some published report, you will find that the employment rate is not really a motivating factor. Employment rate is very low, very low. It is between 10 to 25% of employment, 10 to 25%. And then when the entire world is thinking that, yeah, education is a force multiplier, then what do we need to do? Why we understand, why we refer to such type of document, that we develop our academic leadership. We understand, yeah, I'm not only there for teaching a course, but I will teach a course, I will teach in a program, I will educate the student in such a fashion that he will be able to do something which will be an economic growth, skill enhancement will be there. His life will get improved. And that's where academic leadership is very important. And hence, the purpose of education is to make good humans with skills and expertise. And we know that enlightened human beings can be created by teachers only. Either you teach in a classroom or you teach anywhere. You take them to the field visit. You develop, give them variety of experiences. But yes, this purpose of education is possible to achieve when teachers get enlightened. And hence, we need to have certain strategies. In this background, we need to have certain higher education institution strategies which we should follow, which will develop an academic leadership amongst us. Anticipate a long-term sensation. This is very important. When we talk about anticipating something, what is going to happen in the future, how it is going to work in the real life, then only we are going to useful to the situation. Focusing efforts on ensuring teaching continuity and guaranteeing the equity. These strategies we need to follow. We need to follow this strategy, and this strategy will take us to a real aspect of education and education constant. Generating governance mechanism, monitoring, and very efficient support. See, each and every word is very important. Each and every important is very important. Okay. So every word that anticipating what will stop us, what are the challenges before us, what are the long-term challenges to us which can stop our growth. Our strategy must be there to anticipate that. We must focus our efforts on ensuring teaching continuity and guaranteeing the equity. Is very important. My leadership, my dear professor, our academic leadership is also equally important, is demonstrating the equity in the society. The student coming to the institute, or even whenever we go for a community development programs, we need to generating governance mechanism, monitoring and efficient support. When we talk about mechanism of governance mechanism, obviously I'm going to throw light on this in the second session, but here we need to talk about this aspect which is essentially known to go. Design pedagogical measures to evaluate training and generate a mechanism to support learning for disadvantaged student. See where our academic leadership is required. As I said you sometime before, we have to design the alternative pedagogical measures, not only classroom teaching, but a mechanism which will support learning for disadvantaged students. Why today disadvantaged students are not coming in the mainstream? We require, that National Knowledge Commission report. I don't know how many of you have referred to that National Education Knowledge Report. There it is said that majority of the students are not coming in the higher education because of rigidity, because of the routine teaching, no experiential learning. So we need to focus on to that. And that's why we have to have the milestones. When we talk about academic leadership as such, we should talk about changing the mitigation policy. How do you mitigate our policy? Something which will change, something will do very, very important, make something very blandly, easily change the happening around us, around the system. So change mitigation policy. That is one of the milestones you have to follow. Institution restructuring. I know again, repeatedly I know, because I used to come to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University and conduct physical sessions during the different programs organized by the HRDC of university. And I know you people are coming from different institutions, private, unaided, remote. I know everything. But then, when we are talking on this particular topic of academic leadership, we require institution restructuring. Here again, one point which I mentioned you in the very beginning, there is no one leader. Everyone has to demonstrate leadership. You know the African proverb, it takes an entire village to raise a child. It takes entire village to raise a child. So every one of us have, and we require restructuring. And restructuring cannot be A is equal to B is equal to C. Within the city, within the similar type of the higher education institution, the institution restructuring may be different because student coming are different. These individual differences are there. Management mission and vision are different. Of course, we have a common goal of higher education objectives, but then when we talk on the management principle as such, we require institutional restructuring based upon the type of the high objectives of higher education. We require to work on the knowledge management and sustainable development. Let me tell you, my dear professor, please don't take it otherwise. I'm sharing my experience to you. I move on to, I'm a NAC assessor also, and I'm also mentor to many universities and institutions for NAC processes. And I have realized, with exception, of course, there are always exceptions, there is no continuity and there is no knowledge management is not happening in the institution. And as a result of that, it is affecting a sustainability of the organization. And hence, we'll have to think on, we have to provide, create a mechanism and culture of knowledge management and sustainable development. I'm going to talk to you, if time permits, at the end about this, but there we need to pause on. Then we need to talk about macroeconomic issues. There are macroeconomic issues are there. And those macroeconomic issues are only possible to address provided you have a strategic planning. Take simple example. One simple example, you want to give student a field exposure. You want to take student out of the classroom. But when you go to the funding of the available with the institution, you will find that enough provisions are not made. Of course, I'm talking about those institutions. There are certain exceptions, no doubt about it, because those provisions are not made in the budget. So macroeconomic issues are there for two reasons. Number one, not making a full-fledged budget. Number one. Second thing, the economic status of student being admitted to the student. In accordance with that, we need to tap the scholarship scheme. We need to tap the CSR fund. We need to tap different scholarship agencies so that this student get benefit, because this is which cannot be neglected. When I'm talking about providing a experiential learning to the student, innovative pedagogy, evidently the macroeconomic issues will come. I think we need to ask for this. So we need to work on such type of many strategies as such. And hence, the higher education institution should plan, document the pedagogical changes, introduce and their impacts. So we need to document what pedagogical changes introduce and what are their impact. We must learn from the mistakes and scale up digitalization, hybridization, and universal learning. Very important. And promote internal reflection on the renewal of teaching and learning model. With these experiences, with these situations, we need, here is the academic leadership. Try to understand the different dimensions and domains of the academic leadership as such. And when you look to the academic leadership in these different contexts, micro issues and macro issues, you will find that these are very important. And that's why we required a good document on pedagogical changes, introduce and their impacts. As I said you sometime before, a continuous knowledge management is important. Research is important. Learn from mistake and scale up. Digitalization, hybridization, and universal learning. You learn. We learn from the mistake and how we can address those mistakes that we need to take. Here again, we talk about the digital leadership which is required, the universal leadership which is required. Here we talk about the networking of the institution, networking of the experts, networking of the organization, networking with the community is very important. And when we talk about a universal learning, we mean to say that why my students are not getting job, why they are not prepared for employment, or for that matter for their own enterprise, why they are not confident, why they are not having the enough competencies. We need to learn from the mistake and make the learning a universal learning, making a mix of digitalized learning and classroom or field learning and happen to that. And obviously, we have to have a internal reflection on the renewal of teaching and learning model. My dear professor, please excuse me whenever I'm interacting with the in such type of program. Till today, I might have trained more than 50,000 faculty members across the country. What I find very important is that we all should try to unlearn something and learn new things. Because ultimately, coming to the basic concept of education or objectives of higher education, if I go for my convenience, following the routine pattern, no. And that's why I must promote internal reflection. My internal reflections are very important. Every lecture, at the end of every lecture, how my lecture was there, how it is performed, whether it has given the outcome or not, so and so on. We need to work on to that. And hence, we require to develop in our entire process the different attributes of an education leader. We must be confident. Somebody asked me how you become confident. One example of being confident, that I am very close to the today's world of knowledge in my domain. Even I'm confident that I can make students to learn. I'm confident that I can inspire and motivate students to learn. So my level of confidentiality that yes, if sometime required, I will also withdraw. Sometime if I say I will not expect anything from others, and I will learn, I will have a good listening skills, and I will go on changing. So that am I confidently going to the organization? See, my dear professors, I know you have been appointed as an assistant, associate, or professor in your domain area. But in the today's world, I need to go with how my domain knowledge is used in the society and how I make my students to learn, so that when they go in the society, in the organization, they'll be able to transform them, apply that knowledge. That confidence, and that confidence is only possible when you gather. And this attribute is very important, that being confident in that area. Responsible and accountable. Two different words. Are you responsible? Yes, responsible. Are you accountable? No, I'm not accountable. It may happen. Why national education policy is talking about the autonomy. They want to transform the accountability from university to the institute, because the quality of education is hampered, and it is observed that we don't take accountability, we don't take responsibility. If something happens, we always blame university, paper setter, management, etc., etc., etc. But when I'm talking on the topic of academic leadership, I must be accountable, I must be responsible. And that accountability ability we have to develop, we have to demonstrate, and we have to shoulder the responsibility. We must be accountable into the situation. If not accountable, it means no, we are not delivering the things. And that trait of the academic leader is very reflective. You must be reflective. We know the changes are happening in the knowledge, its application, new careers are opening, new technologies are evolving, new challenges are there, new personal economic challenges are there, issues are there. Then how do you reflect on that? Do you know, or you don't know anything what is happening? If you know, then how do you have reflected on that? Earlier, I know that my students are not getting employment. What I have done, reflection on that. I know that, yeah, I'm going now day by day. I'm not updating myself. I'm becoming absolute. How I can go for evolving? Are you reflective? So that reflective is the ability. Why it is not happening? So, and again, as I told you, we individual and we as a head of department or a principal will have to think in this direction, so that a reflection is very important. If we don't reflect, things will go, but at the end of the day, we won't be achieving the objectives of higher education and nothing. Innovations. This is another trait which we'll have to follow. We have to innovate all the time. Creativity and innovative. I'm just not praising me myself, but just giving you an example which was stated in my introduction. I have developed a unique learning tool which will help teachers to plan, assess, and monitor and deliver the teaching. Some innovation we have to do. Now, how innovate? Even innovation at every stage. Means even teaching methodologies, how innovations you are making, how you are making student centric, how you are developing a critical knowledge, analytical ability, how you are developing a applicability into the student. You have to go for a innovative ways of that, and innovations in teaching and learning, in designing the learning experience, in assessment, in planning and innovation. Every year we need to require. So we have to have a creative and innovative mind, and we must be engaged. Engage. The meaning of engage doesn't mean here. I would definitely would like to say all of you, engage. It doesn't mean 24/7. I mean here engage means we must be engaged with our roles and responsibilities. It doesn't say that you don't focus on your personal development, your hobbies, your life and career goals. But that too also, you have to engage yourself in such a fashion that, yes, you are also a complete man. And that sort of the attribute we need to develop. Now, you may ask me a question, sir, did you find somewhere a complete man? There's a Maslow's hierarchy is there. Many of you might be knowing. Self-actualization, who go to the highest level. He's thinking everything about the money. He's highly satisfied person. It's very difficult to find or assess. It is your own to assess where you are. And that is how we engage means we must have our mission and vision. Very clear mission and vision. What are our goals? Career goal, life goals, personal goals. And in that context, we need to work for that. And hence, this effective leadership, I tried to put in two dimensions very quickly, which we require to have. We must know our strengths and weaknesses. We must know, every one of us. We must be hardworking. Smart working is there, but hardworking. Hardworking to the cause for which we are working. Self-confident. Already we discussed about it. Speak effectively in front of people. We must be very confident and talking very effectively in front. Follow the directions. We are not leaders, are not only giving the direction, we also need to follow because it's teamwork. Being a teamwork, involving everyone and working onto that is very important. Think logically. Generally, a leader, when you are demonstrating leadership, what do you mean by here think logically? Because we know that many times different situations, adverse situations are happening in the institutions. We need to think logically instead of coming directly to the conclusion. And that logical thinking is one of the trait of the then make appropriate decision based on the thinking aspects of that. Solve problems, not create problem. And we know, I need not give the example who create the problem. No, we are there to solve the problems. I remember when I used to teach in a class, even I got an opportunity to head the department, even head the around 225 institutions as a joint director. I used to say that, yeah, come on, come. If you have any problem, come to me. We will solve that problem. And honestly speaking, my dear professors, we solve that problem. Thinking logically, hard work, self-confident, involving other, and following even their direction. Being trustworthy is also important. Listening effectively. We have to listen very effectively to that. Understand the needs of others. So these and many of these faculties having respect and all this that. And hence, that comes to the leadership styles as such. I said you very beginning, I've shown you one style that what is the scope of my today's session. And my concluding styles are slides onto that. I'm not going to talk a theoretical aspect of that, but I want to give you some message, my dear professors. You can read the book on theory of leadership or any organizational development book where you will find leadership style theoretical context. But here, though there are different type of styles of leadership, I'm focusing on three types of leadership: autocratic style, laissez-faire style, and democratic style. These are the three type of styles. And as you know, you must be very well understanding from the name itself. Autocratic, yes, he is taking a single person decision. He's autocratic in behavior. He doesn't listen to anything, but he's focused on his goal. Laissez-faire means, yes, he is adjusting with the people, getting things through the done, but he know from where the work should be done, from what are the individual capacity. And a democratic style, sometimes good, sometimes dangerous, giving everything decentralized to the society. So what I'm trying to tell you, when we are working in an organization, based upon the situation, we have to demonstrate different type of leadership. Let us try to understand these types of the leadership. The autocratic leader is a directive and makes decision for an individual or a group. Being autocratic does not mean the leader is coercive or dictator, the leaders usually provide directions and make decisions. Autocratic leaders. Autocratic leaders are those who provide directions and make decisions to the individual or to the group. Doesn't mean they are dictator, but they are the people who influence other while showing. And you know that in many times we come across this. A laissez-faire leader gives others a major role in making decisions. They recognize that involving group in the decision making process is important. They often realize that group members are in a better position to make a decision. Okay. As I told you, not one style is good. We as a leader, we have to use different. Sometimes we have to instruct. Sometimes we have to give a director. You must be a decision maker. Sometimes you should understand that, yes, yeah, if you work in a team, if you decentralize, then yes, we may get good decisions, we may get good output of that. So the laissez-faire type of the style, somewhere we have to work onto that different situation. And a democratic leaders select a style between autocratic and laissez-faire. Democratic leaders recognize the importance of participation by members but retain part of the decision making responsibility. So it is in between autocratic and laissez-faire. Laissez-faire thoroughly, fully give tasks to the group, whereas in a democratic, he assign tasks to the group, but he take the work. Decision is taken by the democratic leader, and autocratic leader gives the decision, gives the instruction. My dear professors, when we are working on this aspect of academic leadership as such, we need to understand, and we need to ensure that we go with a mix of leadership, very much of autocratic leadership or of a democratic leadership or laissez-faire. No, it depends upon situation, it depends upon nature of the work, and that's where we need to implement the strategy. Here I am not to tell you about the history, but I must tell you that these are the different styles of the working. And when you are working, you know that, yes, somewhere, like for example, if we am going for NSS camp, sometime I need to work as a autocratic style, giving decision, giving instruction. Sometime when I work on the community level project through the NSS scheme only, okay, I made a groups, appropriate groups are made, tasks are given, and groups are made in such a fashion that the requisite output will be attained and the work is given to them, laissez-faire. And a democratic leader, he give the task in the same situation, but ultimately decision is taken in a preliminary or in a final decision making as such. So as an academic leadership, we'll have to go with these different aspect of that. And so leadership style is the approach for providing the right way to the team members, implementing planning strategies, and motivating people by including all the three leadership styles. Okay. So sometime when we make a laissez-faire, you are motivating people to work. Whenever you are in democratic, you are motivating them. Even when you are using autocratic, there also you are motivating people, directing the people. So leadership style is the approach for providing the right way to the team members, implementing the planning strategies, because in certain planning strategies, autocratic behavior means in one project, somewhere you require autocratic, somewhere you require democratic, somewhere we require laissez-faire style of that, so that we involve all our people into that. And effective leadership is not about making speeches or being liked. leadership is defined by results and not by attributes. Sometimes we find that what type of leader is he has? He don't have a personality. No, it's a what type of leadership is there, huh? Which is a results and not only by attributes alone. What Peter Dicker says about this. So, friends, thank you so much. This subject is very vast, but I try to tell you in the context of education, in terms of education institution, in context with the national education policy, how this educational leadership is important to us and what it is. I will invite two, three questions. Yes, any questions, please? Yes, any questions? Any comment? Anybody? Yes? No, no, no doubt. What should I expect, my dear professors? Yes, Mr. Arvind is there, Professor Arvind. Yes, Professor Maske sir, if the right name is there, Mr. Londhe. Yes, any doubt, any question? Yes. Okay, we'll take a 5 minutes break and then we'll start with the second session. Just 5 minutes break, my dear friends. We'll start with the next session. If no questions. I'm coming back in 3 minutes. Yes, welcome back to the session. First, what part of the discussion was on academic leadership. And when we talk about academic leadership, we discuss about the what is really a type of this leadership, what are the different type of the capabilities required, what are the different type of the styles of leadership. Of course, I try to present you every time in the context of national education policy, in the context of the concept of education, and even in the context of the global objectives of higher education. Because, and even I try to present before you the today's picture, what are the expectations of the society, from the education, and in that context, how we can go to reach that particular task. So that was highlighting our first session. Now, the next session is that now in this background, no doubt academic leadership is required. By this time, you must have observed few more points because I cannot segregate my two sessions which was allocated to me by HRDC, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University. They are in link with each other. So as I said you earlier, while discussing on the previous session, I may give the context or reference of the earlier presentation also. So now we talk about the next session. I'll again share with you the my screen. Yeah. I'm sharing my PPT. Just wait, my dear friends. So one aspect is leadership, but what type of governance is required? I know that these words are not new to you. When we talk of this governance and leadership, but then what is this governance? And because these days we talk about what is more important is the governance of organization. How do you govern? What are the policies? What is the mission? What is the vision? What is the organization structure? What are the policies of the institution? That matters. So governance and management at, of course, I need not tell you about the university level, but university level, institute level, departmental level, and sometimes whenever we talk about our course as such, or module as such, there also we need to focus on the governance and management as such. Now, all of you must have gone through the national education policy, but again, I would like to present before you the three broad statements which are being reflected in our national education policy. Then you'll understand why this governance and leadership is required of. The national education policy envisions an education system rooted in Indian ethos that contributes directly to transforming India, that is Bharat, sustainably into an equitable, very important word, equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing high quality education to all and thereby making India a global knowledge superpower. We need to understand why we talk about leadership, why we talk about governance, and why we talk about management. Okay. So, national education policy to you and me, my dear professor, it's really a good gift to you and me in our life, because the vision is created, the mission is created. There's something in front of you which is given by our national education policy as such. See, the second paragraph say the policy envisages that curriculum and pedagogy of our institution must develop among the student a deep sense of respect towards the fundamental duties and constitutional values, bonding with one's country, and conscious awareness of one's role and responsibility in a changing world. Again, I am taking you back to the objectives of higher education, which are globally there. So, it is being said that the policy envisages that our curriculum and our pedagogy should develop student a deep sense of respect towards fundamental duties, constitutional values, bonding with one's country, and conscious awareness of one's role and responsibility in the changing world. Now, see very nicely what third statement talks about. Sorry. This is very important. The vision of the policy is to instill among the learner a deep rooted pride in being Indian, not only in thought, but also in spirit, intellect, intellect, and deeds, as well as to develop knowledge, skills, values, and disposition that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living, and global well being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. My dear professors, this is the vision of national education policy. No doubt, as we discussed in the previous session, academic leadership is required. But academic leadership will be more successful provided your governance and management is good. Good leader is there, but system is not there. There is no governance. We will not get input. Will not get outputs. So here in the context of this second session lecture, this vision and mission is very important to all of us. Now, when we talk about effective governance and leadership for higher education institution, let us focus on some more points. Why we required graded accreditation and graded autonomy in a phased manner over a period of 15 years. All higher education institutions in India will aim to become independent, self-governing institution pursuing innovations and excellence. This is why academic leadership is required, governance is required, and management is required. This effective governance, the effective governance and leadership of higher education institution has to be into that fashion as such. Strong self-governance and outstanding merit-based appointments of institutional leaders. My dear professors, when we talk about governance, for a strong self-governance and outstanding merit which is expected, our appointments of institutional leaders may be professor, associate professor, assistant professor, principal, director, whatever. We require a outstanding merit-based appointment. This is what is stated into that, because we need to understand governance and management is not possible if you do not have that type of the persons appointed on that position. All reaching the legislation to supersede any countervailing provisions of other earlier legislation and will provide for constitution, appointment, modalities, functioning, rules and regulation and responsibility of the Board of Governance. See, the effective governance is possible, as I told you, not only by the having good leader, but your system must be like that. In future, we are going to become autonomous. In next 15 years, by 2032, our all institution will become de-affiliated from the university, and they will transform within 15 years from graded autonomy to the multidisciplinary institution to the university. And there we require to be an accountable, to be a responsible for the quality education. We require self-governance, wherein we can follow a good constitution of organization, rules and regulations, roles and responsibilities, and that is in context to the all bodies, including the Board of Governors. Try to understand the difference between the first lecture and second lecture. First lecture was talking about the leadership, and second lecture is talking about the leadership, governance, and management. So this slide talks you about what type of governance and why this governance is required. A governance is governing, controlling. Control doesn't mean autocratic control. Controlling means to have a proper control. It's a management word. It's a management. Planning, designing, controlling. This control, we require a good structure, good governance, good people around that, different committees, Board of Governors, so that they can properly add into that. To not only that, these autonomous status have empowered Board of Governance by 2035. This is the plan. What is the governance in future? Today, you may be finding that we are affiliated to the university. Though we are working very close to the university, we know the process and mechanism of curriculum design and development, assessment and evaluation, administrative activities such as recruitment, UGC rules and regulation, the mandate, etc., etc., etc. But now this is going to shift to the Board of Governors, and where you and me is going to be somewhere the member of this governing structure, this governing body. It's not only Board of Governors, it may be a Board of Management, it may be Academic Council, it may be Board of Studies, and different structure as such. And that's why see how the governance is going to change in future. HERs in turn will display commitment to institutional excellence, engagement with their local communities, and the highest standard of financial probity and accountability. See, very important. See why governance is required. Today, and I know that you must have, though you are at the end of the first week of your training program, but still by this time, you must be quite aware about the fact that why autonomy is given, why the autonomy is promoted by the University Grant Commission, because they want institutional excellence. They want commitment from the management, from the faculty. And our education should not restrict to ourselves, to our students, but even to the local communities, means going beyond the boundaries of institution through curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular, consultancy, community activities, research activity, we need to go for that. And also we want high standards of financial accountability. Please mute yourself. Somebody is unmute. Please mute. So the governance context we need to understand, and we have to prepare ourselves. And the national education policy talks about that. And mainly I'm talking about institutional excellence, engagement of community, local communities, finance. Here we require to understand what strategies are required to bring institutional excellence, what type of mechanism, what type of organization structure is required. Similarly, how we can have a self-sufficient institution in financial matters, how to involve and can further give our services to the society, to the community. That is how we require a governance. Strategic institutional development plan, on the basis of which institute will develop initiative, assess their own progress, and reach the goal set in there, and the basis for further public funding. See the governance, nature of the governance required, nature of the management required. It's not leadership. Again and again, I'm telling you, my dear professors, it's not only leadership, but in national education policy, once we become autonomous, we are going to become autonomous, and we are going to have our own governing structure. We need to demonstrate institute excellence. We need to go for a financial accountability, and we must have a governance with a good strategic institutional development plan. Some of you, those who were part of the RUSA project, you must have prepared institute development plan. Many of the professors, you might have worked in the National Assessment and Accreditation Council mechanism of accreditation. There they have talked in criteria number 6 about vision, mission, perspective plan, strategic plan. This is very important to us, because in future, what type of the governance and management is required, we need to prepare a strategic institutional development plan. Till today, we were affiliated to the university. We have 3 type of institution. At present, I'm talking government institution, government aided institution, unaided institution. When we talk about unaided institution, their academic leadership or academic control in the hands of university, but financial and administrative is in the hands of management. But now, in the days to come, either it's a government institution, aided institution, or private institution, unaided institution. I mean, you will get academic autonomy, administrative autonomy, financial autonomy, and you have to prepare your own strategic development plan, and you have to prepare your own vision and mission and monitor the progress based upon the objective. Then and only you will be getting funding. In future, you know that recently University Grant Commission has issued one circular that every university affiliated institute must register themselves on the UGC portal. Why? So that they can apply for funding. Isn't it? So they can apply for funding. So our funding in future, though it is an unaided, aided, or government institution, it depends upon your strategic plan and your performance. Based upon that, we are going to get the funding of that. So we have to understand what type of governance and what type of management we require to work into that. And hence, obviously, this slide which I am very quickly going to conduct is very important, which earlier we see about the objectives of higher education. I'm not going to discuss much onto that. So in this background of higher education, we really need to plan for the activity. So what policies says about this? What governance and what management is required? Number one, inclusive and holistic growth of address national and international issues and challenges. When we talk about the core purpose of national education policy or their policy initiatives for that matter, and they must reflect why I'm showing you this particular slide, that whatever it is envisioned in the national education policy, now it will be transformed to the institute. It will be percolated to the institution. Institution will become autonomous. Leadership is required. Academic leadership is required. And for that, a good governance and management is required. And for which that governance management? Yes, obviously, we talk about this first slide, objectives of higher education, and other aspect of inclusive and holistic growth to address national and international issues and challenges. Now, you know very well, not only that it is a envision in our national education policy, but the type of leadership that is being demonstrated by our country, we must be proud of that. We are now one of those very few, 3, 4, we are in number 3 to 5 in the entire world. But then to reach to the higher level, who will do this? Education. How they can do it? Yes, we'll give you the autonomy. We'll give you a shoulder. Will wherever required, based upon your strategic planning, a funding will be also given, provided you progress based upon lines of national education policy. So that we need to understand, their governance and management is required. Self-reliant nation and self-reliant individual. This is the core purpose. And that type of the governance and management will be required. The policy also focuses on inclusiveness, holistic development, student-centric education, research and liberal arts, multidisciplinary education, outcome-based education, and not only that, it talks about standard-driven education by accreditation, collaboration, and network and internalization. See, we are going to come to that particular slide about the accreditation part of that. It means the core purpose. And now try to understand, my dear professors, in days to come, the roles and responsibility which was entrusted to the university will now come to you, to your institute. What any directorate or university used to do or was supposed to do, now you will be doing that. And that's why that type of the governance and management is required. But our national education policy document is such as nicely articulated. If you read it, you will find solutions to that. You will find answers to that. It will give you the directions in which we are supposed to work, what to do, how to do. Everything is given in the document. But we need to create that structure as such. And hence, in this line, we need to focus on institute design. In this background, we need to focus on the institute design. What type of that governance is required? What type of that management is required? Now, we need to go for redefining vision and mission of the institute. I'm quite sure that I'm little concerned about the education system, my dear professors. As you and me, as you and me are working, I know that you are assuming the concern for the education. But till today, in many institutions, the mission and vision is drafted by somebody. Again, exceptions are there. Please don't take it otherwise, my dear professors. But now, when we read on the national education policy, when we talk on national education policy, is my PPT is not visible? I'm getting the message. Will you please answer me? Anyone? Will you please answer me? Is my screen is visible? Okay, I'm stopping and again I will reload. So, so we need to see that our mission and vision of the institution need to be redefined in this present context. Actually, why Malivia missions, this training program is equally planned is to prepare we all into that direction, to make ourselves very clear about what is required to do. So, my dear friends, what we really required to do as a institute design has to be think about strategic planning. I'm going to talk on strategic planning. As said before, we need to focus on the strategic planning of the institution. We require faculty training. Now you are the ambassadors of national education policy. In this training program, you are getting many inputs. Think over that, reflect on that, and ensure that in near future rather, we are going to become autonomous. So faculty training is very important. Not only that, we need to develop systems and procedures. The more effective management is possible whenever we have a good system and procedure. If system and procedures are not there, then we may not be able to work onto that. And of course, we have to go for a multidisciplinary program structure, which talks about more curriculum. So, this one line only I have shown about the multidisciplinary program structure only for the reason there's a lot of things to talk about that. But then it is one of the core mention in the national education policy that our education must be multidisciplinary. The multidisciplinary education institution can groom the student in a better way as compared to a single discipline institute. Because student, irrespective of their faculty, their domain, the knowledge of communication skill, human behavior, or you may call it a psychology, sociology, economics, is must to them. technology. It is must to them. So if multidisciplinary programs are there, we will be able to deliver. So we need our institution design into this five major broad. I'm not going to the details of that right now on this slide. I'll be going in future onto this. And hence, we need a proper planning for that. Now, what is strategic planning in education? What is strategic planning in education? And that strategic planning, we have to focus on that. A quick overview. It clearly defines the strategic planning process. Okay. What is strategic plan? I'm telling you. But what is this strategic planning? It clearly defines the complete strategic planning process. My dear professors, as I'm telling you again and again, your institution might be at present autonomous or must be thinking of becoming an autonomous, and maybe tomorrow you will become autonomous. We require strategic planning for that. So, how to create and execute strategic plan? What is really a strategic plan? How to create and execute strategic plan? And what is the common goal, common model into entire organization that can follow? It's very important. And that's why you must answer these questions, these four questions. Process to establish priorities on what you will accomplish in the future. So what is really a strategic plan? Strategic plan is the process to establish priorities on what you will accomplish in the future. Force you to make choices on what you will do and what you will not do. Push the entire organization together around a single game plan and broad outline on where resources will get allocated. We know in national education policy what is the nature of students we want to develop, what type of society we want to develop. We also know that what type of society, inclusion and inclusivity and equity we want to maintain. We also know that while doing so, we have to go in a planned way so that funding will be done. We are accountable and responsible. We need to have our own mission and vision. Then we must have a process to establish priorities on what you will accomplish in the future. Force on what you will do and what you will not do. And make your entire organization towards your strategic plan, single game plan. And then plan the resources. Otherwise, you will be not reaching to your target, to your mission and vision. It's very important. So, four fundamental questions which you will ask. Where are we now? Where do we need to be? Identifying the gap or future end state. How will we close that gap? And how we will monitor our progress? We call it a balanced scorecard. So this fundamental question, I am damn sure, I know that my professor, those who are engaged with the RUSA project or those who know about the RUSA project, institutional development plan was made mandatory, compulsory. Mission and vision, as I told you, NAC is doing very well. But now you will understand why NAC and NBA is important, because now they want you to be a really become a excellence institution. And to become excellence based upon the parameters, we must do a assessment. Where are we now? NEP has said in their vision document, in the policy initiatives, many things. They want equity, they want inclusiveness, they want vibrant knowledge society, they want Indian spirit and ethos, they want knowledge, abilities, skills, they want self-reliant, they want global citizens, they want many things. They want us to do something for society, community. But where are we now? We need to do an ask question to yourself. This is a scientific and structure method. Where do we need to be? Based upon your assessment, you decide where we need to be. What are our priorities? What are our goals in next 10 years or next 15 years? In front of you, as I told you sometime before, the National Education Policy document has given clear cut picture of what we are expected to do. If you read National Education Policy document 2020 as a education manual, you will get a lot of inputs. Where do we need to be? Of course, every institution in country, we want to attain the policy initiatives stated in NEP 2020. But it is not possible in 5 year, 10 year. Okay, then can we, based upon assessment, plan our vision for next 10 years to 15 years? Where do we need to be? How the future will look like? And whatever gaps are there and whatever needs we want to plan, what activities we need to do that. I'm going to come to that particular model. So we as an institute, we need to plan for a very strategic planning into that. And obviously, it must have a monitoring mechanism. Henceforth, why leadership is required? Why academic leadership is required? Planning, coordinating, controlling, monitoring. These are the principles of management. And these principles of management, when we talk about these principles of management, which are equally applicable to the administrative management, financial management, and academic management, like they are applicable to human resource management, material management, resource management, or financial management. So we need to properly monitor the progress. And this is how the principles of management, I know that all of you may not be a management or commerce student, graduates. So we need to understand that we work on the basic principles of management. Planning is very important. Coordinating, planning is there, proper coordination. Then are you control? There is a proper controlling, monitoring. So all these we need to plan, and then we have to control, monitor our progress report. This is to be done from immediate. I want, of course, since this training program lots of input will be given to you. We may not get it. Requires a workshop. I conduct a 1 week workshop. 5 days workshop on strategic planning for institution-based workshops or group-based workshops. So we need to answer these fundamental questions, and then come to this very simple model of strategic planning. This model is known as A, B, C, D, E model. Where we are, where we want to go, and how we are doing. If you are having mobile or if you are using a laptop, please take the snapshot. I want you people to work onto this. Okay. Now see how I'm preparing a strategic plan. First of all, I am doing assessment of my institute, my department, environmental scan. Environmental scan means to whom we are going to provide the services. Our stakeholder, external stakeholders. They may be, our student may be going to the industry, they are going to the business, they may be going to the public organization, private organization, they may be entrepreneur. So we must scan, we do the environmental scan of internal and external stakeholders. Who are our external customer? Who are our internal customer? Then you collect background information of the institute. We need to now understand, as I'm working pan India with different organizations, with state government, with some organization of central government of India, many private organizations, state universities, private university, I have seen that the purpose of establishing the organization is different for different organization. Good purpose is not bad, but we as an organization, we must know the background information of the institution. Why this organization start? What was the purpose of the institution? Then go for situational analysis. What are the strong point of the institution? What are the up and down situation? When we start, whether we are going well or down, when we went down, when we progress good, do the situational analysis. And then conduct SWOT analysis. Actually, it is a SOC. Strength, weakness, opportunities, and challenges. It's not SWOT, it is SOC, SWOC. Okay. Strength, weakness, opportunities, and challenges of the institution. So, first of all, you have to do the assessment. We need, when we are preparing a strategic plan of our institution, we should follow a scientific and systematic procedure. And the first step is doing the assessment of institution, environment scan, who are our competitors, to whom we are going to serve, where our students are going to go and work, for whom we are educating the student, to whom we are going to provide the services, who are our internal faculty, staff, students, their characteristics, their individual differences, their competency set, etc., etc. Environmental scan. What are the opportunities, etc. Do the SOC analysis. What are the strengths of the institution? Is it location is the strength? Is it the high leadership, visionary management is the strength? Or qualified teaching is the strength? Research is the strength? Collaboration is the strength? What are those strengths? Try to find out. What are the weakness of the organization? Lack of systems and procedure, lack of policies. For example, I'm giving you. Programs offered are weak. Programs. We are designing, offering such a program where there is no demand in the nearby society. isn't it? So what are the weaknesses? What are the opportunities for you? What are the opportunities? Can you start some skill development program? Can you start some professional lifelong learning training program? Can you provide or start a community service center at your institute? Can you conduct a continuing education program? Can you undertake the research and consultancy project? Find the opportunities. Find the challenges. What are the hurdles in the development? What are the challenges? Finance is the challenge. Competency set is the challenge. High level of competition is the challenge. Now you do the SOC analysis of the institution. This will help you to create a baseline. Now we'll go to the step 2, baseline of the institution. A baseline of the institution which you will follow. That what is the, from the assessment you will come to know that what is the past, what is the present, and what is the future. All from this assessment you will come to know what are the specific issue, significant issue. When you go for situational analysis, where we could succeed, where we could not succeed. When you go through the SOC analysis, you will find what are the weaknesses, what are the challenges. So you will find significant issues into that. What are the gaps in the institution, where we want to focus, where we need to prioritize. From SOC analysis, from the strength, weakness, you will come to know what is the present. For opportunities and challenges, you will also come to know what are the future of the institution. So baseline is created. My appeal and request to all faculty members, you form a strategic planning group in your institution where all members, means representative of students, boys and girls, teaching and non-teaching staff, management, teachers, sub-education expert, you form a committee and do this religiously activity. When you come to a baseline, now based upon your baseline, now decide components. What is the mission? From the past and present, you will come to know what is the mission. What is the mission? Mission is what you are present, your strength. Okay, your strength. You will come to know your strength. What is your purpose? You will come to know from that. From baseline, future, from the issues, from the gap, you will come to know what is your vision. Means from the baseline, you will come to know your mission and vision. From the issues, from your situational analysis, you will also come to know what are the guiding principles, what are the values of organization. From the present and future SOC analysis, you will come to know what are the major goals. What are the major goals of the institution? Number one goal is we want to enhance employability by 50% is one goal. Second goal, faculty development in the use of ICT 100% is my one of the goal. Faculty enhancement, student enhancement, collaborations, etc., etc., etc. And then to meet that goals, what specific we want to attain? Go to the components. A, B, C, systematic planning. And then go to down to specific. Now further go down that, okay, You want to reach to, as I said to you want to go for a employability enhancement. What are the performance measurement? Number one, more companies or organization should come to institute. More means what? Today number is 10, we want 50. Number one. Number two, our percentage of student getting selected for interview will be, present is 30%, we want to go to 70%. Package, so make a performance factors, design targets, and accordingly prepare the plan. Action plan is to be developed. Detailed action plan is to prepare, and that is to be properly monitored. Okay, that is to be monitored. So this ABCDE model is very important to all of us whenever we work onto this particular task. So managing the performance. So when we talk about governance and management, that governance required is for what type of organization structure, what type of policies, what type of, see, all this strategic planning will give answer to you. And then we can do a macro level planning and macro level planning. You can follow a design down approach and bottom up approach. Both approach we have to follow. Macro level planning. Macro, if you go to the earlier slide, when you go to the fourth stage of down to specific, we need to prepare an action plan. We need to prepare a performance measurement. What are the target? What initiatives we need to take? See, institute will not develop as it is. Whatever we said or whatever we have envisaged in our national education policy document, whatever national this type of Malviya mission training program, these efforts are happening, these to ensure that we really succeed in this business. We need to go very systematically. We must go very scientifically and a structured way to happen into that. So a micro and macro level planning is required, and we also need to follow a design down approach as well as bottom approach, bottom up approach as such. And in so activities, obviously the when we talk of further planning, as I said you sometime before, from education institute point of view, these four strategic issues we need to focus on. Academic issues, okay, what committees are required, what policies are required, all in academic, technology, financial, administrative. These are part of governance. Governance is organization structure. Governance is roles and responsibility. Governance is policies and procedures and standard operating procedures. The governance is mission and vision. And all these are prepared for addressing these four type of issues: academic issues, administrative issues, technology issues, and financial issues. And from that point of view, which we activity we have to plan, that we will discuss by slowly into the discussions. So these are strategic aspect on academic ground. Sorry, yeah. So we have to focus on academic aspect, learner individual difference. See, my dear friends, micro level, we talk about macro and macro. The earlier slide talks you about the micro level. Okay. No, sorry, these are micro level. When you go to micro level, learner individual differences, training psychology, pedagogy, and e-learning, teacher, learning material, faith and confidence, guidance and counseling. Few aspects which I have tried to put before you, not all aspects. It's very difficult to cover everything into that. So, and obviously, the adaptability and resistance to change. This is going to be very important part of that. So, we need to go for a macro level planning and micro level planning, governance and management. So that management part where you talk about strategic planning. In strategic planning, we talk about macro level and micro level planning. This is a macro level planning, few parameters at academic levels which you need to start. When I talk about technology level, what type of technology you are going to follow? Because today's world, I will not be able to complete my session by saying that digital leadership is required. And here technology will play very important role. And when I'm saying technology, it doesn't mean only technology in delivery, but technology, because today art student, commerce student, science student, technology, everyone is required to use the technology, the softwares, the hardwares, computers, systems, and procedures. So that planning we need to do based upon your curriculum design and development. Cyber security we require, because we know that lot of happenings are there. This you know very well. And that's why we talk about our have to have a cyber security. This micro level planning is required. Administration control. You observe, many of you must be on WhatsApp group. What is the role of administrator is there. Similarly, when we are working on the technology platform, we need to focus on the administrative controls of that. That administration control, here I mean student, faculty, heads of department, principal, not only in the management of learning, but even use of that technology, that controls are to be planned very nicely. Uniformity versus diversity is very important. There are so many universal aspects which we need to do, but do we really require to go for some diverse nature of the things, the approach that we have to follow? And of course, this all technology, we have to go for a customer support and marketing. Whatever you are going to develop, whatever you are going to use this technology, customer support is very important. To our student, to our non-teaching staff, our teaching staff, our all management, we should plan to provide them support. And equally, you should market this technology among the stakeholders so that we can do. This type of planning is required when we work onto the aspect of this technology. Administrative. See, I have put the first word, disinfection standards. Looking to the virus, COVID, so many viruses are coming up. We have to start even work on this aspect of disinfection standards. I will not talk much. Optimization of resources. When you start autonomous, you start as a university, optimization is very important. How do you optimize your human resource, financial resource, material resource, infrastructure resource? That optimization you need to very well plan. How you can generate the resources is equally important for that. When, as we see in the ABCDE model, these talk about design to specific, and then it will talk on time frame. and we need to plan for time frame. One second, please. One second. So we need to have a time frame for this. It is not only I'm talking about strategic planning. All faculty members join to this malware mission program. I want you to make a time frame for this to yourself, your institution, to which any organization where you are linked up. That if this is the UGC initiative of granting autonomy to the institution, if our national education policy thrust on development or creating of a multidisciplinary campuses, universities, promoting innovations, then that time frame, if you want to lead the entire system, the education environment, we have to work on that. Then in administrative, very important is guidance and counseling and mentoring. We need planning for this micro level planning is required to for guidance and counseling and mentoring. I have put this particular parameter over here only to tell you that you will go and you might have started using NEP curriculum. Now in NEP curriculum, many parents, many society, even many teachers and students, they really don't know the significance of introducing these different subject courses into the curriculum. They know that in the curriculum we have provided elective courses, open elective, domain elective, etc., etc. Here we require lot of guidance and counseling to the students. We require good mentorship. The basic purpose of education to make him complete man, self-reliant, competent. Okay, lot of mentorship required. As I'm telling you, the JSVM University Pune, we have given 15 students to one faculty who mentors the student. Is properly documented, is interacted for three type of purposes. One, learning difficulties. Second is difficulties getting the facilities. And third is personal difficulty. So this type of the planning we need to do. And obviously the management, that is leadership and teamwork, is very important. Here, when we talk about leadership, already I have mentioned you about the leadership and teamwork. I will not talk much on this, but my dear friends, it's all possible. As I told you before, it takes an entire village to raise a child. And in that point, we need to properly work. And these are to be, these administrative policies, where we require leadership, where we require teamwork, we require leadership in defining the policies, in evolving the policies. We require the teamwork to develop the procedures, standard operating processes. We require the teamwork for implementing, for reviewing. And obviously, in all this process, a proper support is equally important to every one of you. And then coming to the last parameter is finance. As I told you sometime before, the strategic planning. What is strategic planning? Strategic planning will help you to go for resources optimization, planning of finance. And so, when you are becoming autonomous, please note, I'm underlining. I know that many of the professors are from aided institution or government institution. Some of them, not all of them, some of them are of opinion that if we become autonomous, our grant will be withdrawn. It is not like that. Rather, the other way around, unaided institution will get financial support in future based upon the performance, based upon their strategic plan, institution development plan. But then to utilize the resources, this finances, we must be a cost effective pattern. We have to use cost effective pattern. And that's why one of the process is going for a digitalization. Digitalization using of ERP make very important. Cost to learner. Even today, many of our learners population is not so much rich to pay the fee structure. How we can provide scholarship by private funding, for government funding, from CSI scholarship, that planning we need to meet very important. We need to do a very, from both IT and hardware and software, from both the end, we require a finance. Because here, as I told you, in the technological aspect, which we have seen, cyber security is there, training is there, lot of softwares are there. Then you say that why this particular point is there. For example, if you are going for a IT infrastructure, can you go cloud based? Can you go for a proper networking based upon need? If you are going for a certain software, can you buy the academic version of that, which will have a available in 10% or 20% cost? So a financial planning has to be done. Or some softwares are procured or hardware projects are procured through certain research projects, through consultancy project. This type of financial we have to do. And we'll have to also see that how we can optimize the finance for power supply and internet. And obviously, I need not tell you, many of you must have started using different type of the alternative source of energy. But now that is need to be promoted. And we see that this is how you can become. I've seen the institution, those are using the solar energy. In 2 to 3 years, they have become self-sufficient. They need not have to pay a single pie to the state board of this thing, electricity board for their power consumption. So you can become a self-sufficient, and this is how we have to work on this. So this, when we talk about governance and management, and when we talk of management, this type of strategic planning, and this type of strategic planning in macro level and micro level, we need to follow properly. And this is how the strategic plan will come for your organization. Whatever I have discussed, I have tried to put in a one single side. You have a mission, you have a vision, you have a goals, you have an objectives, you have initiatives, you have measures and target. All this strategic plan, which is shown in green color, action plan, which is shown in the yellow color, and in pink color, we have shown the, in rosy color, I have shown the progress part of that. So here you find why we exist, where we want to be, what we must achieve to be a successful. Everything is given on this particular side. So more major components of this strategic plan we need to follow when we go. This is what is expected in the Maldives mission training program. Of course, as I told you, a training program is to sensitize the faculty members in the domain of this. We need to go further into that. This is again one example of micro and macro level planning. When I'm talking about department level or faculty level, I have to plan for your vision, our program education objective, our program outcome, our course outcome, our attainment, our continuous improvement. This is equally very important that we should go for that. Now, this coming to the last point of discussion, that now how the governance and management we need to change at institute level. Similarly, at national level, you know very well, but now these must be known to you because you are going to work in a different environment now. Now, to promote research, because as I told you in the very beginning of the earlier session, we require leadership in research. And looking to the significance of research under national education policy, a national research foundation has been established. And what they are going to do, the criticality of the research is more than even before for the economic, intellectual, societal, environmental, technological, health and progress of nation. Now see, you may ask from where you get the funding. We are either arts, commerce, science or technology institution. The National Research Foundation established by under National Education Policy has ensured that the criticality of the research is more than even before, both in economic, intellectual, societal, environmental, and that's why we need to do a lot of research. And hence, promoting research attitude from schooling to UG and PG is one of the element of our foundation, is one of the project or task of our organization. Here, we all institutions need to understand that this is going to be the agenda. And to make this agenda happen, we need to make, and that's why, as I said you sometime before, lot of research and innovations are essential. Creation of a new knowledge, doing consultancy, doing research projects in the NAC and in NIRF is not only important for grade and ranking, but it will help the total productivity of education system to prepare develop a vibrant knowledge society, a global knowledge superpower. If you read to the first statement of our vision statement, research in arts and humanities along with innovation in the science and social sciences. See, because many times it happens that when we talk about research, many people talk about research in science, but no, in the National Research Foundation, the research in arts and humanities along with innovations in science and social science is given very important. Focus on changing factor of climate change, population dynamics and management, biotechnology, digital marketplace, machine learning and artificial intelligence, and virology. These are the areas in which research are expected. We know, we know that when who will do this research? Education institutions are right place to conduct the research. Somewhere when we saw that the UGC requirement for the selection of professor, associate professor, or to the dean or principal or assistant professor. Why? Because ultimately we are going to provide, supposed to give this output. But to promote that, not only national education policy gives only the policy statement, but they have developed a mechanism where even see how macro level this national education policy has worked. They have also provided sample broad area in which the focus of is essential. We also require high quality interdisciplinary research across field. Interdisciplinary research are very important. These are promoted. Economics in health sciences, sociology in health sciences, all these part of interdisciplinary sciences, health and technology, etc., etc. And number of topics are there. So we have to, this is given, being properly directed. India in 21st century as a strong and enlightened knowledge society and one of the three largest economy in the world. And that's why this national foundation is established. So this foundation is going to provide reliable, merit-based, but equitable peer review research funding. And this is why, as I said you sometime before, that research funding will come to all types of institutions. Whether it's unaided, aided, or government institution. Based upon your strategic plan, institution development plan, there is a provision which is made in which we can go for the plan. So many things which quickly I'm searching. So primary activities which I'm coming to this is fund competitive, peer review grant proposals of all types across all disciplines will be there. Seed money, grow and facilitate research at academic institution, act as a liaison between research and relevant organization, and recognize outstanding research and progress. These are going to be the primary activities of NIRF. My dear professor, why I'm showing this particular slide, governance and management not is only for the institute, but Government of India, for the Ministry of Education, for the National Higher Education Commission, they have created certain mandate, some mechanism, and you have seen that how micro level they have worked. And there is, of course, the transforming regulatory system in higher education, which is going to happen, which many of you must have heard till today, but in future it is going to be there. And 4 pillars of higher education Commission of India is going to be NHERC, NAC, HEGC, and GEC. Now you'll ask me what is all this. Now, earlier there was a University Grant Commission, but now there will be a Higher Education Grant Council, through which the different grant allocating agency will be brought under single roof. Will be brought under single roof. Earlier, you used to apply DST, some to UGC, etc., etc., etc. But HEGC, Higher Education Grant Council, is established. This is going to be the pillar of that. Second, NAC, National Accreditation Council. Now you will observe that for NAAC, National Accreditation Council, is for all institutions which are affiliated to the university and UGC. But this different type of NBA is another organization. There are so many international organizations now that will be streamlined, and now National Accreditation Council will be brought under one roof. NAC, NABH, all different accreditation agency will be brought. NIRF, all will be brought under single agency. Now you need to apply for NAC, you need to apply for NBA, you need to apply for NIRF, for example. But now this accreditation criteria, accreditation organizations will be brought under single criteria, in single umbrella, NAC Accreditation Council. First, I'm going in between only for the understanding purpose. And then we have NHERC, National Higher Education Regulatory Council. Now we have University Grant Commission for teacher education. We have National Council for teacher education. For technical education, we have All India Council for Technical Education. All these regulatory authority body will be brought under single umbrella. Governance, see example of governance at national level, which is being brought and which is being established, which is in process. So higher education is going to focus on these aspects. And the last, the part is into the General Education Council. The General Education Council is generally for the schools. These are for the school. So to regulate the schools, we know right now we have a state board, we have CBSE board, we have ICCS, so many ICBS, so many boards are there. Those boards will be brought under the single umbrella. So, and we know that those who know about the school education, we require variety of permissions for the opening of the school. That regulatory aspect will also be brought into the single aspect. So our Higher Education Council of India, that is HECI, is now based upon these 4 pillars. Not only that, we have National Skill Qualification Framework based upon the skills in different sectoral skills. It may be a management, agricultural, automobile sector, banking structure, insurance sector, different sector. Based upon the skill, there is a one sector which is the framework which is prepared, which calls about National Skill Qualification Structure Framework. Similarly, there is one more which is down about NSEQUF, National Higher Education Quality Framework, NHEQF. What is this NHEQF? Now, this is to have a proper association, because we in our country, when we become globally, our degrees, as you know that UGC has certain nomenclature of the degrees. But in some cases, we have a vocational education, we have a technical education. So for all that, to decide the based upon the credit, academic bank of credit, based upon the academic bank of credit, now different higher education qualification framework has been designed, and that is one of the initiative. So these initiatives has been tried by this aspect, and that is why, as being said earlier, the committee has given recommendation to all of us, and Maldives Mission training program is also one of the training program which talks about that. Having understood, having discussed all these aspects, maybe at primary level, we have to be create effective environment, our vision, our mission, our values, goals. And as you know that objectives with an aim of inculcation of values based on ancient wisdom and setting up vibrant knowledge society in India. Huge responsibility on you and me on education stat. And that's why, my dear professors, we need to go for some key short-term goals, which will help you in designing your institute goal. Now see what NEP has planned. Immediate revision of curriculum and assessment tool, which you must have seen on UGC platform. Many, even All India Council for Technical Education, they have got credit-based, outcome-based education. You know, UG education from 3-year and 4-year, multi-exit and entry already started. ABC already established. Promoting use of mother tongue in all level of education is already. These are the key short-term goals of the National Education Policy or Ministry of Education, Government of India. Similar are being planned by many state government and universities. Similarly, in same line, we also need to go for the part of that. And of course, we need to have a long-term goal on vision statement, then transforming HEIs into multidisciplinary universities, granting autonomy, 4-year B.Ed course already started. Many now recently the news appeared. Then even Sanskrit University will move toward the multidisciplinary university, and so on. So friends, this is all we know, and we need to know about the education system, and we can really work on the making our education really a vibrant society. So this second part of my session was focusing more on how the governance is required. This governance is possible provided you have a mission and vision. Your organization structure, management is based upon strategic planning, micro and macro. And not only that, you have a short-term and long-term plan. And in these lines only, we can go ahead with our system. With this, I conclude my session. I thank you once again to all of you. And I'm very thankful to the Dr. Rafe, Dr. Patil sir, the director, and very important, you all faculty members to be the part in this Malviya mission training program. And we together, as I told you, and you know very well, is saying that the journey to the 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And I think every day we have to think about taking this single step. Thank you so much to one and all. And thank you over to the organizer of this program. Anybody would like to ask questions? Rafi sir is there? I think we are there, and if Rafi sir shall just ask him whether should I conduct close the session. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, friends. Thank you so much. Nice meeting you all. I hope that this lecture was useful. I have seen the comments. Of course, to me and you, comments are very important when we actually start working. It's really, really very motivating, inspiring, and we really would like to say that type of education system. And I'm very happy to tell you that I'm getting an opportunity not only through such type of the training program, but also when I'm working with pan-India with different institutions in transforming them and to making every day I'm having meetings, and happy to meet you all. I wish you all the best. Thank you. Thank you so much to one and all. Thank you so much.